Hey friends, it's Ian. Today is April 2nd, and today is also a major day of stress for a lot of people. So today, President Trump is going to announce a set of different tariffs for countries worldwide that they've identified, and will enact tariffs on imports to boost the American economy so that manufacturing can stay in America. A lot of people are following this news, and a lot of people have reached out and asked, what are my thoughts on this? And I feel this is a very stressful time for a lot of people. This is also a stressful time not for just people who are professionals, but for companies who are exporting to the United States, for companies in America that are producing something and selling it in America because their costs are going to rise. And there are many different forecasts and outlooks given by experts right now, from some saying that the American economy is going to go into recession, or the Canadian economy is going to go into recession, to job losses, to a whole big change, not just in America or in Canada, but in many, many countries. Now, just to unpack it a little bit, the tariffs mean that companies who are importing anything into America, American companies who are importing anything from anywhere in the world, will now have to pay an extra 10, 15, 20, 25%, depending on the tariffs, on the goods and the equipment and the actual material while importing that from countries outside. There's no restriction on being able to import anything, but the whole fact is that there will be a tariff imposed on these imports. There's a whole long list of things coming up later today by the Trump administration that will talk about what these tariffs apply to and which countries these tariffs apply to. After American companies have imported all these things and paid the tariffs to the government, they are obviously going to make a less of a profit than they were making before the tariffs. And what will end up happening is that these tariffs, these extra costs, will be passed on to the consumer. So let's say you're importing you're importing cheese from Canada, and now there's a 25% tax on cheese. That 25% increase, or relative increase, will be paid by the consumers in America who are buying that Canadian cheese, and so on, right? We're talking aluminium, steel, we're talking about food, clothing, all of these different hundreds and hundreds of different things that are going to be taxed. Is this a strategy that the United States will benefit from or not? How will they benefit from? There's a whole theory about it. They've done a lot of work in the administration, but the whole process and the idea is about boosting the American manufacturing segment and bringing manufacturing back to America. Now, if you do this across the board, across the automobile industry, steel, what have you, it's a very big chunk of industry to bite off. And great, America is a great big economy, but it will have repercussions because of what it's going to do. Additionally, countries that will be tariffed, and imports that will be tariffed from specific countries, are more than likely to do counter tariffs. So these countries, after the announcement goes off today at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, they will come back and most likely put tariffs on American exports to these countries. As an example, in Canada, there was an announcement yesterday by some trade groups saying that if America is going to put tariffs on Canadian exports on the automobile sector, then Canada will put tariffs on American cars being sold to Canada, right? There's also been news coming out in the last few weeks about Tesla cars being tariffed in some other countries and so on. So this is going to be a bit of a mess, I believe, over the next few weeks to the next few months. But I also believe that the Trump administration is going to very strategically tariff goods from countries that they believe they can produce in America. Of course, for American companies that are in America that need to produce these things locally, it means looking at new supply chains, looking at new providers of these things from countries that are not tariffed. So let's say if American companies are importing salt from China, and now salt from China is being tariffed at 25%, American companies that are importing salt will have to look for other providers in the world who are not tariffed. If it's a country that's being tariffed, and if just the actual good is being tariffed, that, hey, you cannot import salt from any country and it's going to be 25% tariffed, then they will have to find ways of making that salt appear from within America. So there's all these different things happening. For organizations and businesses that are now part of this whole affair, and this is a big thing. We're talking about a global economy here. I think it's a good time to start thinking about supply chain strategies, how to export to different regions where there are no tariffs. So you as an exporter will have to find new countries and new markets for your goods, your equipment, and things that now America is putting tariffs on. For American consumers and companies, things are going to be more expensive for, if you're importing, let's say, something from a very specific country. It's a specific thing that you don't have available in America, and there's a huge demand for it. It is going to be expensive for American consumers. And so a lot of different things are happening. And what I would really recommend is that if you are an organization who's exporting to America and you think you're going to be tariffed, start looking into a new supply chain, start looking at everything that your supply chain is made of and how to go to different markets. I mean, the whole world is available, right? So you look at new markets for your supply chain. If you're a country that's exporting to America and you're not tariffed, that's great. If you're an American manufacturer and you're importing things from specific countries, you need to explore your supply chain within America, look at your manufacturing processes and see maybe technology can help augment some of those things. But it's a good time to go back to the boardroom and to have that war room built in your company and organization, and to see what you can do, how fast you can do it. But brace for a big change. Hopefully, let's see what happens. But I'll try and post more content and my thoughts as the announcement comes through.